ugly as Dash of Dave. He'll take some scraps and bits of this, turn them into something you can't miss. Junk journals, tapes, and crafts galore. He'll have you begging, show me more. Oh, Dash of Dave, oh, what a sight, mixing colors day and night.
Hi everyone, it's Dash of Dave here, and I'm back for another crafty video. So this is where we are with the house. We have done the vine, which I think looks looks really good actually. So might fill it in with a few more extra leaves, etc. But I think generally it seems to be looking okay. So I think it's time to move on and start doing something with the this tree. So because we are going to be doing some papier-mâché, I'm going to bring in all of my hazmat stuff. It's not hazmat obviously, but it's the dirty stuff, the stuff that I don't mind getting dirty basically. So, and I've already torn some newspaper up. I've made some papier-mâché glue, you know, my preferred method, which is the using flour and water. So I've got my flour and water all ready to go. It might be, I'm not sure, it might be a bit thick, I don't know. No, that seems all right. And I think we're just going to kind of go for it. So I am expecting a delivery, so which is always a great place to start, isn't it, when you're expecting a delivery. And you're going to do something messy because you're going to have to go to the door with your dirty fingers, Dave. But, so if I pause the video, that's the reason why. And also, I might edit it anyway so that you don't have to suffer in silence watching me make this. So, just like when I made the thing from the grimoire, I'm just going to wrap it in some paper and go from there. So, without further ado, let's just start, Dave. So, I don't know how to do this. I might pop a little bit of in, so I can't put too much in because it's split, and that's the reason why I'm using this. I'm going to put a little bit in there, and I'm going to dip these things in and kind of just drag them off a little bit and then put them to one side just so that they kind of soak up some of the wetness, so they're a bit more malleable. And I am using, this is an Indian newspaper that somebody gave me, so because I always find newspaper is the best stuff for doing this kind of thing, and I didn't have any other type of newspaper to do it, so it's not specifically because it's Indian newspaper, it's just because it's the newspaper I had to hand, and I don't tend to use newspaper in journals. I like a bit of the, you know, the Indian writing, but it's mostly written in English, so it's the Indian Times that we're using. Other newspaper is sufficient, so I will, like I said, just gonna get some of these soaking through. Okay, so the ones at the bottom are the ones that are wetter, so I'm just going to flip those over, and I'm just going to take one of them, start doing something with it. Right, so I'm just going to start wrapping. There's no rhyme or reason to the wrapping, it's just the way it goes. It's harder to get the first layer on, it's always the hardest bit. You can just like coat it in like a quick pasting of the glue, of the what's it called, the papier-mâché glue first to help it stick, but I haven't. I might regret that decision. There we go. You just want it to stick to itself first, and then you can kind of just shape it in. just get some more and start doing the rest. So yeah, the house side of things, still haven't decided what I'm going to do regarding a fence. I thought about getting a car sponge and turning that into like to like a hedge, like, you know, shaping it and turning it into a hedge like that. So I don't know, that might be still on the cards, because I think sponges look quite like foliage, and I don't want to go out and buy anything specific for it. That's the thing. So although there are lots of things that, you know, people have suggested I could use, most of them do mean that I'd have to go and buy something, and I'm trying to be quite frugal because the channel makes a big loss for me, and it's not something that's really very sustainable if I keep going out and buying new things for it. So anytime I get if anybody gives me any money or anything, I do, you know, invest in the channel. All the money that I earn goes back into my channel. Alas, it takes more than it earns. So you know, I'm not breaking even by any stretch of the imagination. So just trying not to spend is a really good thing to do, really. So the taxman must laugh at me every time they see my tax return. They go, "Still hasn't made any money on that channel. I'd have given up if I was you." But I'm nothing if not persistent. So anyway, just going to try and shape that in a bit more now. It's a bit softer. And like I say, getting that first layer on is just really difficult because it doesn't want to stick to the foil. And like I say, I could have wrapped it in a bit of dipped it in a bit of the papier-mâché glue to help it, but I haven't. But you'd also need, then once that was done, you'd need it to dry as well. So I'm just going to wrap this the best I can, and I know that it's going to look a mess to start with. It has to look worse, it has to look bad before it looks good. So just, you know, take that into account. So don't expect great things at first. And obviously, as you get wetter, your fingers get wetter, you end up pulling more of it off than you put on. But you do get there. You just have to be patient. But you can't wait for every layer to dry before you put the next layer on. Otherwise, you'll be here a long time. So I'm just going to tear this down a bit. Don't want too much on there anyway. I find if you have too much on, it tends to get a bit cloyy, and then you do end up getting very sticky. And like I say, I find that newspaper is just the right thickness. You can use tissue paper, but I find that I get in more of a mess with tissue paper than I do with newspaper. So just gonna wrap this, and I think my parcel has arrived. So I'm just gonna. It's just said that it's one stop away, so I might just get this on and then just and come back to you. Anyway, carrying on. So I do know that other people prefer to use the PVA glue to make their papier-mâché. I just prefer this. It's just that bit more natural. It's what I'm used to making it with. I know people have said that they're worried about it going mouldy, but I do put in a good ratio of salt into mine. I find that kind of inhibits the glue, inhibits the mould anyway, and also I think this feels more sturdy, less. I find that the PVA tends to get very flexible, and I don't like the way it formulates itself. Basically, you know what PVA is like. It is very flexible, isn't it? So I find that it's too flexible for what I need. So I do prefer this method, and I've never had anything go mouldy. My top hat thing was made in exactly that same way. Was made with using papier-mâché, made in the same with flour and water, and I've not found that to be, I've had that for a long time now, and it's still not caused me any issues. So might need a bit more of that in there now. It's just I guess it's a personal thing as well. Some people don't like the texture of this, which I can understand. It can be it dries a bit weird. It's very flaky and flour-like, I guess, but it's fine for me. And I'm quite fussy and funny about textures, so but like I say, does what I need it to do, and I find it more malleable as well, I think, because it gets wetter. The PVA glue doesn't get as wet, so I find that it's just easier to maneuver, although there are, the pros and cons. There's so many pros and cons of both of them. I guess it's a personal choice, isn't it? So I think because this gets wet, whereas the PVA doesn't. Also, I find the PVA sometimes dries a bit quick, and I haven't finished manipulating it before it started to dry. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one layer on at least before in this part, and then what I'll do is I'll probably film the rest of it a different day, just to give it a chance to dry. I like to let it dry naturally. I think if it dries naturally, it's more kind of stays together better. If you try and speed it up, it tends to unfurl itself more. I mean, that's just, again, you might have different results, may vary, as who was it used to say that? Nick the Booksmith. I hope she's okay. I haven't heard from her for a while. I know somebody said that she's been suffering, but like that she's doing okay, but she just doesn't do any videos at the minute. But I do hope she's okay. I do miss her. Anybody else missing Nick the Booksmith? I mean, I guess you might do stuff on a Patreon. I'm not part of a Patreon. I can't be everybody's Patreon. I don't make enough money in my own. Somebody though did say once, even if you had money, David, you give it all away. So this is very true. I probably would. That's why when I do get a bit of money, I think last year I'd sold a few things on Etsy, and so I supported my Boring Books for Bedtime podcast that I listen to every night that gets me to sleep. But I'm not in that financial situation again this year, so that's not going to go around there. Just wiping off everything that I can off this, because I think it's too gluey. I do sometimes mix the two together as well. Well, not mix the two together, but like put a bit of PVA in. I haven't done this time. I think I did that on some of the stuff I did for my grimoire. I've just not done it this time. Just try and twist that round at the end. I'm not going to have covered every single piece, so you can see bits of silver foil. I mean, if you can, just try and patch it up. I just want to get one complete layer on, and then I can worry about patching up, etc. afterwards. It's just very messy, and it's also a bit fiddly because of the way that the tree is. When you're doing mushrooms, they're much easier. So I won't need that much on there. I'm just going to tear it down. Just do this bit here. Just cover the very end of this. And I think that today's video is basically just going to be me doing papier-mâché, I'm afraid. So there's not a lot I can do. I might do some other papier-mâché. I might, well, actually, not just. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. So today is just going to be papier-mâché, although it might be filmed over 2 days. I think that's what I was trying to tell you, but I couldn't quite get my words out. So don't want the base to flatten down too much, because I mean, I can always bend it back afterwards, because that's the good beauty of having a metal structure inside. Is that so all stays nice and flexible. You can wrap it round pipe cleaners or something like that, so you can twist pipe cleaners into this if you don't want to use metal, like aluminium foil or baking foil or whatever you choose to call it, or your version of aluminium. We say aluminium, so I'm sticking to that. That's a bit wet. Get rid of that. So yeah, I was saying about not going mouldy. So I've had that top hat 6 years now. I've not had an issue with it going mouldy, so I think as long as you keep it out of damp. But then again, PVA stuff can go mouldy as well. So it's not a mould inhibitor, PVA. I've put my extra dirty clothes on. Well, they're not dirty clothes. They're clothes for making dirty crafts in. So don't worry. And it's me that has to wash them anyway. So it's not like I'm handing my clothes off to somebody else and saying, "There you go. Sorry about that." See what I mean? It's a little bit fiddly. when you're trying to get in around stuff, especially because these are all touching, all the branches are touching. Let's bend that one out of the way for a minute. Just try and twist it off at the end, just so it comes to a point. I can always snip that off if it doesn't look right, but it just holds it in. I have to get some more in there, aren't I? Like that off from there. There's two sheets here, there is. Might tear it down a bit. It's easier to work with narrower bits on the really fiddly bits. And then once you've got that sorted, you can, once you've got the first layer on, you can work with wider sheets. So I think the house is coming along nicely now, so it's definitely looking more complete. I know that I kind of toyed with doing more on the inside, but I was thinking, at the end of the day, you're not going to see the inside. I've glued the lid down. We've got some light. I was playing around with the lights inside and thinking, oh, I could have it all lit up, etc. Maybe if I make a doll's house, I might do that, but I've not made a doll's house. And also, you're only seeing it from the outside. You want an element of thinking like it's lived in, so that's the reason why I did a bit of furniture. But it doesn't need to be all fully functioning lights, etc. But I think I will do something like a window display or something on the run up to Christmas for like a 3D diorama thing. I've always wanted to make a book nook, but I don't know whether my skill levels are good enough for a book nook. I don't really have anywhere to put a book nook. There's definitely no space on my bookcase for any books, any more things. And I've got plenty of books on there, which, and again, they're not books that I read. They're books for crafting with. Most I don't read books. I've got about 3 lots of books that I've ever read. Tales of the City being one of them. So Armistead Maupin's Tales of the City. What else have I read? All of the Harry Potter books. Read those. And what else? Oh, and I've read a few individual novels when I was younger, but never really got into reading. I think being dyslexic isn't conducive to reading. It's like subtitles. I can't get on with subtitles. I'm too slow at reading. Whatever's on the screen has gone off the screen by the time I've read it. Well, by the time I'm halfway through it, so I find it quite frustrating, actually. So I find it annoying when I'm watching something that I wasn't expecting to have any kind of foreign language in it, and then it does have, and then it's subtitled, because I can't read it. Now it's getting a little bit top heavy because the base is wet and the top is wet, so it's more inclined to bend. Look, there's only this bit holding all of this bit up, but when it's dry it will be better. So I'm not worried about it too much. The very tip of that needs wrapping, I think. of this one as well before I move on to anything else. So I realise as well some of it will come off. So this is going to lift up as it dries, which I know. But we can always either glue it back down again or take it off. So one of those will suffice. So like I say, want to get this all on, and I might film the rest of it without you, so we come back to a dry tree with multiple layers on, and then we can get into the painting side of things, or I might just, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Nowhere near that bit yet, so I'm only on day one of filming, so I'm going to put a few pieces on there just to soak up that extra. Try and find some that's wet enough. This is, but it's not torn in the right direction, so got some little bits. I'll use those though. Keep bending that one. This one's just going to roll round itself. I need to stick that onto there, Dave. You know when you thought watching paint dry was boring? Watching papier-mâché dry, just as boring. So I won't make you watch it dry. Maybe I should have a time lapse. No, that's not happening. If I had a proper camera to film it with, I might. But I'll use my phone, and that means then I can't use my phone all the time that it's filming, so I might come back to that bit. Finish this bit. Very sticky, dormez-vous. I am very sticky. Oh, stay up. Okay, bit of this. Just wipe that bit off. Where am I doing there? I'll get around this one, I think. It's like wrapping bandages. Tear that off. But I do like using foil as this kind of a substrate. Just find it nice and easy to work with. And also I don't want to waste all of my things, what are they called, pipe cleaners on stuff like this. I find also when I'm using pipe cleaners to make stuff like this, you end up with like it looks quite ridged, because you know you're forming the trunk with lots of ridges, lots of them bundled together, and they have a lot of ridges on them. I can't explain that. You either know what I'm talking about, or you don't. And if you don't, I'm not surprised. Don't know what it is about newspaper. It just seems to be very pliable, but not terribly fragile. Tissue paper I find very fragile. fragile. I'll just twist it off at the end. Okay, you're just going to lie down then, are you? Just having a nap. Oh, it's not doing that, is it? It's just flinged somewhere. Flinged it. Flunged it. Flingy flungy. Right, just going to try and press this into the trunk now. Just so that it keeps that nice shape of looking more like a tray. I don't want it to be too much. I don't want it to look like a big, just a tube going all the way up. I want it to be malleable, yes, but that's not the word I was looking for. Manipulated, that's the word I was looking for, into those nooks and crannies on there. And then wrap this around this last piece. Should have done this first. It's just right in the middle of the tray and it's just not in the great place. So I might have to just pop that down there to anchor it. And then wrap it from there. In fact, I might just wrap that round that base bit. And then round the base of one of those branches just so that it covers the base up. And I've got something to stick it to. So, that was the other thing that I was going to say about using flour and water. Some people don't like the smell of it, so it smells like flour. So I only ever use plain flour, so I don't know what that's called in other parts of the world. It's just basically just flour. It doesn't have any raising agents in it or anything, because you don't need it. You're not making a cake, you're making a tray in my case. And I don't mind this bit here looking all gnarly, because that's what trees do at the very base where all the branches meet. They do look gnarly. That one's coming undone. Don't come undone. You're supposed to be finishing, not restarting. More of it coming undone. That's why you kind of have to go back and just press it in a bit. I guess if I used, somebody will tell me that if I was using PVA it wouldn't do that, but like I say, I just prefer this. And I don't, although it's sticky, I don't find I'll get myself into such a mess with this. I don't get into such a mess with this than I would do with PVA. Oh, there we go, fall over. You know when you rip a piece off and it's just not the right width? That's what I just did then. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's worth it. That's what. Nobody ever told you it was going to be easy. It's just going to be worth it. So I like to do a good job. And whilst I don't have all of my ends covered, I think I've got enough covered now to leave it, let it dry. Hopefully it'll dry standing up. Don't want it to dry falling over, because it'll change the shape of the tree. Okay. Just going to put another layer of something around this trunk, just because it's starting to get very pulpy. There we go, that's better. We can just then shape that. There we go. So I think I'm going to leave it like that to dry. For you, it'll be seconds. For me, it'll be at least 24 hours. So I will come back to it. So, okay. So for the painting, we've got to paint the tree. So I need to have something to paint, on which to paint. To from whence it came. No, that's not what I mean. So, oh, actually, I was going to use that, but I'm going to use this instead. Let's use a glue book. I know, that's going off piste, isn't it? It's supposed to be a glue book, Dave. But I'm going to use a glue book as a backdrop for a painting. So I'm going to get a brush. Not really worried about which kind of brush. So let me just talk about these as well. So these are bits of tissue paper that I have painstakingly, I had to sigh because I've painstakingly rolled these into little balls. Now, I know it doesn't look like there's a lot here, but it's taken me about 40 minutes to cut them up, tear them up. So I had to cut long strips of them, then tear them up into smaller strips, and then turn those into little balls. It's taken a long time. So I'm hoping there's going to be enough, because if there isn't, there's a side of me that's going to be like, well, it's just not going to have a lot of blossom on it. But there's also another side of me that thinks maybe I should do something with it. So I, and commit. Probably will be committed, to be fair. Maybe I should commit to doing more to it. So I am just going to find something else to put this into. Take that out. I'm going to tip that into there, because I've realised I need something to mix my paint in. Because I think, well, anyway, that was too big for this. So I don't think I've got the right colour paint. And I think I might need to mix them. So I know brown's not a very interesting colour to paint, but you don't see many violent orange trees, or purple with green spots, or that sort of thing. So I'm going to mix some up, and hopefully it'll look more tree-like. So I don't want it to be too dark, but also I don't want it to be too light. So this is way too light at the moment. I might have to put some more dark in there. We'll just mix all of the paints, Dave. Let's get all of the browns out. That's a much nicer consistency. Much more, sorry, not nicer, but thinner consistency. Just thought the dark brown was too dark. But sorry, it's not looking a great colour, is it, Dave? Yeah, this paint palette is not. It's very reminiscent of the 70s, though, isn't it? So this is going to be a 70s tree. Let's put some more of this in. I don't know whether it's any darker, it's just thicker. So, honestly, I don't like mixing brown paint. It's a bit crap. Sorry. I was trying not to be juvenile, but well, that didn't happen, did it? So, There's going to be so much of this brown. I'm going to be able to do multiple coats of it. I mean, it'll dry. Hopefully, it'll dry darker than it is. And actually, to be fair, I probably need I should have gone for a darker colour first. Maybe I should just put a darker colour on first and then paint over the top so you've got a bit more wood definition. I mean, I'm probably going way too deep down here. So I'm going to have this, which actually isn't much far off what I've already got. So I think that is darker. So we're just going to paint. Oh, there's way too much paint here. I'm just going to paint it and then cover it in various layers, and we'll see how it goes. It's going to need multiple layers anyway, because otherwise we're going to paint it and seal the newspaper print through it. So I have kind of bent it a little bit more into the shape that I wanted. That's not to say I won't bend it again. I just want it to be a bit more like, well, I wanted it to basically stand up for itself. You know, it's a big tree now, it needs to stand up for itself. I was hoping that the two colours together might make it look like, if I brush it on nicely, it'll look like what's it called? Bark. Woof. You see, every time I'm just such a comedian. Oh gosh, you can tell I've had a week's leave, can't you? Because I'm so. Well, two things. There's half of me that you can tell because I'm obviously so relaxed and feel, not stressed at all. Unlike work, when I'm at work, I'm a bit stressed sometimes at work. But also because I've been on my own a lot. I've gone mad. So, mad in a good way, obviously. I'm the good kind of crazy, he says. Hopefully you think I'm the good kind of crazy. I'm the right side of crazy. I don't know why I was going to sing it, because I don't know a song about being the right side of crazy. That's stupid. Dave, you are an idiot. So, oh well. At least we know it. So, I'm going to turn it upside down so I can paint all of this side, because the underside would kind of get a bit left out otherwise. Let's just snip off what I don't need. I need a pair of scissors. There are a pair of scissors there. There are a pair of scissors there, but they are pinking shears, so they're not, or whatever they're called. What else do you call them? Pinking shears. Pinking shears. What are they called? These. That cut with a zigzag. What are they? Oh, I can't think what they're called. Yeah, I know it was pinking shears, so but I can't think what they were actually called. I'm sure it was in my brain a minute ago, but maybe not. Yeah, so I couldn't use them. Sorry, let's establish why I was even talking about them, because I can't, because I couldn't use them. So, shut up, Dave. Honestly, you're such an idiot. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the big... Sorry, no, don't sing Pink Pony Club, Dave. Yeah, so my idea is kind of hopefully to paint it. I was going to say the two-tone brown, but it doesn't really look that much two-tony to me, so not now. Isn't it funny, brown paint? I don't know how to make it lighter besides adding white to it, and I don't have any white, so That's something, maybe another thing I should do, invest in some white acrylic paint. Well, I've got gesso, so I don't really need it. I only tend to use it as a base coat for things. I can use gesso for that, so I don't want it to be like a dark spooky forest tree. That was the reason why I didn't want to go too dark with it, because that's not what we're not trying to make it look creepy, we're just trying to make it look like a tree. I might just end up mixing this paint anyway, so right, okay, start one side. Start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Yes, we won't sing that either, Dave. I can't sing things that could get me a copyright strike, although at the end of the day it'd be hard pushed to be able to tell I'm singing anything. People are more likely to think it's a cry for help than than singing. But never mind. It's it's me. It's me singing. That's what it is. I'm not a very good painter, can you tell? I'm just kind of just splashing it all over, daubing it on. Dauber the Great, not Zorba the Great, but Dauber the Great. Okay. I didn't really I didn't sand the tree down. I did contemplate it, but then I kind of want it to look a bit, random, because trees don't grow perfectly. There is no such thing as perfection in nature. So it's perfect in its difference. It's not uniformity. What's the opposite of uniformity? No idea. I'm sure the thing on a shelf knows what that would be, but I'm not going to ask it. So. Ununiform? Non-uniform. Out of uniform. Civilian. No, because if you were wearing a uniform, you'd be in your civvies when you're not. But I'm not talking about a uniform. I'm talking about uniformity. It's lack of uniformity. Shut up, Dave. So yeah, obviously this house thing is going to be coming together soon. I think I'm going to try making the fence from sponges. I've got a couple of car sponges downstairs that I've never used for washing my car. Washing my car? I'm sorry. Washing my car? What's that? That's what rain's for, isn't it? I think I bought them. It's not like anybody was trying to shame me by buying me car sponges, but I've just never used them because, we have a lot of rain in the UK, so what's the point? I know it's dirty rain, so it could do with a wash, but maybe one day. Maybe I'll treat it to a wash. Obviously don't tell it, because it'll be hoping and waiting, and it's not going to happen anytime soon, so don't want it holding its breath or holding out on me and not starting in the morning because I've refused to clean it. There's more to life than washing a car. I mean, Vic, well, usually I was going to say really looks after his car, but I got in it the other day and it was absolutely vile. It was filthy. So, and I said to him, I thought you liked keeping your car clean. And he said he was going to take it to a valet. So to have it valeted. Do you say it like that? Valeted? When they clean your car. That's what it is in the UK. So, but I don't know whether you say it valet or valeted or that. Oh, I don't know. Shut up, Dave. You don't even know what you're talking about. Nope, you don't. It's cars. Oh. No, I know a little bit about cars. They have 5 wheels. Before anybody comes at me and says that they don't have 5 wheels, they do. They have 4 on the outside and 1 on the inside. So, no. Steering wheel. So. Anyway, Dave, shut up. So, this is hopefully fairly evenly covered. I don't know whether it is. I haven't really looked at it from multiple angles, although it isn't. That's what you need to do, is look at it from multiple angles and see the bits you've missed. Which is good. We can do that. Turn that round. Oh, no, another bit missed. And there. And there. I mean, like, you know, if I have missed anything when I've when it's dry, I can always put some things on it, stick the leaves and buds on that bit. Oh, if I missed this, or is it just that I've pulled it off with my fingers? I don't know. Bit of a little of column A, a little of column B. I've definitely pulled that bit off with my fingers. Sorry, gone quiet. Concentrating. You know me, when I concentrate, I go quiet. So, got another bit there where I've pulled it off. Or missed it, one of the two. Right, I think I'm going to dry this and then do some more on it. So, bear with, I'm going to dry it. I've dried it, and I think I might just try. I don't know whether it makes any difference what colour this. I don't know whether this is going to work. So I was thinking, no, that's going to be way. That brush is way too wet to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of get a bit of a dry brush effect going for a bit of texture, to give it a bit of. I don't know whether that's working actually. I don't think it is, to be fair. I think it works on there, but I don't think it works on there. Oh well, bit of undulation then. We'll just have a bit of multiple colours going on with the brown, and then it looks more real if it's more than one brown, doesn't it? Well, that's what I think anyway. You're not hopefully you're not going to see too much of the tree, to be fair. You're going to see more of the leaves and stuff. The other thing I was thinking, so that's what this pot is in front of me. I've got a random pot I realised that I didn't have when I started the video, and it's my heat it stuff, which I haven't used for a long time. I don't think you can tell the difference between those two browns when they're dry. I'm just hoping that the heat it hasn't gone off. So it didn't look very well when I took the lid off just before I came back on camera. But you know, it might be okay. I don't know. We'll see. So that also needs to be dried. So I decided to end the video here because it was running long. So, as I always say, I love you all, without exception, until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and comment. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.